welcome, and thank you to you guys for being willing to have a new yoga teacher come and practice my new skill set on you guys. I appreciate that. But yeah, my background, when I first moved to Port Colborne, I was looking for something fun to do. And I sent emails to the Dragon Boat Club and the Rowing Club. And Brian, if you're familiar with him, got back to me like that night. And so that's when they were doing the 3 for free. And I went out and started paddling recreational, and then moved in up to competitive, got really, really busy with work, stopped paddling altogether, went back and joined the rec crew, and then went back to competitive, and then abandoned the boat altogether. So now I've been doing some yoga for the past couple of years since a career change. So yeah, so we'll try to work in a little bit of this is what fits in the dragon boat kind of thing when we're doing the yoga. And I'm going to start with the first, the first cheesy yoga quote for you. Yoga meets you where you are. So the biggest thing that you guys are all good at is listen to your body. I'm going to give you a bunch of cues, see what works. If it doesn't, don't do it. But there's no judgment, no expectation. It's just seeing how it goes. So with all that talking, let's start in child's pose. So child's pose, you're down on your mat and with your knees wide towards the outside of the mat and your hands stretched out in front of you. Stretching your hands out a little bit wide so that your pinky fingers are touching the edge of your mat. And take a big breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And just get yourself present on the mat. Feel your feet where they touch the mat, that connection. Press the knuckles of your hands into the mat. Just wake up your arms, pressing your hips back towards your feet. Let go of whatever happened during the day up until this point. And just give yourself permission to just be here with your breath, with your body for the next 60-ish minutes. And as you let go of your day, let go of the expectations, let go of any self-judgment. Your mat doesn't judge you. There's no pass or fail in yoga, so it's all good. And push up into tabletop. So tabletop, just stacking your shoulder over your wrist. Stack your hips over your knees. And then push back into downward facing dog. So coming back on your feet, your heels pressed towards the mat. Your body's just sort of in a V, your hips pressing up towards the ceiling. Press the mounds of your toes into the mat and then press your heels into the mat. And again, just getting present. You want to take any movement, go ahead and pedal your feet, bend one knee, bend the other knee. Maybe it feels good to come up on your toes and then press your heels back into the ground. And then find stillness. Take a big breath in and empty out. Step to the front of your mat. Take ragdoll. So just folding forward at your hips, letting your body hang heavy over your thighs. Grasp opposite elbow with opposite hands. And send your gaze to the back of the mat. Again, just letting your neck relax and lengthen. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. And then just come back to stillness. Extended mountain, reach your hands up towards your ceiling, reach up high, big stretch up, and then bring your hands to heart center. We'll start class with 1 Om. Breathe in. Om. Extended mountain, reach your hands up towards the sky. Forward fold, bending forward at your hips. Halfway lift. Keeping your back flat, your spine long. Then bring your hands to the mat, step back into high plank, and hold your high plank for a moment. Stacking your shoulders over top of your ankles, and then slowly lower down to the mat. And take cobra pose. So your hands are just resting beside your chest, and you push up, pushing your shoulders up off the mat, as if you were a cobra, just lifting your head. And then push back to downward facing dog. Take a big breath in and exhale. Lift your heels, bend your knees, and step to the front of your mat. Forward fold, halfway lift, extended mountain, reach your hands way up to the sky. And while you're up there, grab your right wrist with your left hand, pulling your right wrist over to the left so you get a nice stretch along the right side of your body. And then switch hands and switch sides so that you're getting the stretch on the other side. And then send both hands to the sky. Big inhale and exhale as you fold forward. Halfway lift. Hands to the mat, high plank. Hold here for a moment. Get that core engaged, and then lower to your mat. Cobra pose, lifting up, shine your chest forward. Downward facing dog. Push your hips up to the sky, pressing all the knuckles of your hand into the mat. Take that little bit of strain off your wrists. Raise your heels, bend your knees, step or hop to the front of the mat. Halfway lift, forward fold, extended mountain, reach your hands up to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Hands to the mat, step back into a high plank. And hold. Lower down to the mat. Cobra pose, lifting your chest up. And then come into tabletop. So stack your hips directly over your knees, stack your shoulders over your hands. Your back is nice and flat. And then take your hips, start to make little circles with them, and gradually make bigger circles, loosening up your hips. And then come back to center and rotate in the other direction. So starting small and then taking the circles bigger. And then come to center, and stillness. Take your right hand, reach it out in front of you. Take your left foot and kick it out behind you, so raising it off the ground. Beautiful. And then switch hands. So putting your right hand down, lifting your left up and your left foot. And one more on the right side. Your right hand forward, your left leg back. And then switch so that your left hand is forward, your right leg is back. And downward facing dog from there. Bring your belly to your spine, keeping your core engaged. Look between your thumbs and then bring your feet to that spot, however you choose, whether it's a hop, a step, a jump. Halfway lift, forward fold, chair pose. So chair pose, sink your hips towards the ground. Your weight is back on your heels. Reach your hands up. So just like you're sitting in a chair. Take a look down. Make sure you can still see your toes. You want to have your knees far enough back that you can see your toes. And release, forward fold. Halfway lift. Hands to the ground, high plank. Lower down to your mat. Cobra pose. Shine your chest forward. Downward facing dog. Right side warrior one. So bring your right foot in between your hands. Leaving your left foot at the back of your mat on a bit of a 45-degree angle, and lift your hands up in the air. Getting that stability with your legs. Engage your shoulders on your back. Just pull them out of your ears. Beautiful. And release. Bring your hands to the mat for a high plank. Lowering down to the mat and take cobra pose. Take the up. Push back to downward facing dog. Left side warrior one. So your left foot becomes in between your hands as you reach up to the sky, lengthening your side body. Getting stable in your feet. Beautiful, strong warriors. And exhale, hands to the mat. High plank, lowering down to a low plank, to the mat, cobra pose. As you inhale, up, downward facing dog. Go for crescent lunge on the right side. So step your right foot in between your hands, same as what we did for warrior one. But this time facing 12 o'clock and be up on the toe of your back foot. So you got the option. If this doesn't feel comfortable, you can drop your knee to the mat for a low lunge and then reaching your hands up to the sky. And bring your hands to heart center. and twist to the right. So you're twisting, so your left elbow hooks on the outside of your right knee, getting that twist in your mid body, which is another great one for dragon boaters because you're always getting that twist with your power. Pressing your hands together and release. Come up into Warrior Two pose. So Warrior Two, you've got your feet like you did for Warrior One. One hand reaches out in front, one hand reaches out and back. Susan's got it. Great job. And sink low into your legs. Keep your knees stacked over your ankle. Take a breath in and exhale. Extended side angle. So drop your right forearm to your right thigh, reaching your left hand up towards the sky. Stacking your hips, pressing your forearm against your thigh as you reach up. Send your gaze, if you can, up to your hand, getting that twist, that opening. I'm sure you can almost feel the paddle in your hand in the A-frame with that big back. Take a breath in and exhale, hands to the mat, to a high plank. Lower down to the mat, cobra pose, come on up, downward facing dog. Left side crescent lunge, bring your left foot in between your hands. Stay up on the ball of your back foot, so up on the ball of your right foot to keep that foot energized, reaching your hands to the sky. Bring your hands to heart center and twist to the left. So your elbow hooks on the outside of your knee, pressing your palms together. And as you press your palms together, you lift your chest away from your thigh. Beautiful, Peggy. That's a nice crescent lunge twist. Knowing that if there's any sort of discomfort, a little bit of awkwardness, that's where our growth comes from. And release, hands to the mat, high plank to low plank, down to the mat, cobra, downward facing dog. And take a look at the front of your mat. Step or hop to the front. Reach up, extended mountain. And then forward fold. Chair pose. So sinking your hips down towards your mat in chair pose. Hands reach up to the sky. Bring your hands to heart center and twist to the right. Same twist, but with a twist. Hooking that elbow as you get that twist. And inhale, think of your back lengthening, and exhale, twist a little deeper. And release, forward fold. Heel toe your feet hip width distance apart. Finger to big toe pose, exactly how it sounds. Use your peace fingers to grab your big toes. And you're just folded forward at your hips. Let your head hang heavy. Maybe you nod your head yes, shake your head no. And release your toes. Come back up into chair pose. The best chair yet. Sink your hips low to the ground. Try to go a little bit lower on this one. Beautiful. Hands to heart center and twist to the left. Twisting to the left, breathing in and lengthening. Breathing out, strength. Take a big breath in and exhale, forward fold. Gorilla pose. So again, bring your feet to hip width distance apart. Slide the palms of your hand underneath your feet. So as if you're standing on your palms. If you can get your palms all the way under, let gravity pull your head towards the floor. Go ahead and bend your knees, bringing your chest closer to your thighs. And release your hands. Bring your hands to the mat. Step back into high plank. Lower down to the mat. And we'll vinyasa our way through, up to a cobra and back to a downward facing dog. Step forward for, go into warrior two pose. Warrior two, so you're on the left side. So warrior on the left side, left foot's forward, your arms are front and back, sinking low into your lunge, sending your gaze over your front hand. And then extended side angle on the left. So bringing your forearm down to your left thigh and reaching up with your other hand, opening up your chest. Great job. Take a breath in and exhale, hands to the mat. So bringing your hands to the mat to a high plank and lowering down to a low plank. Cobra up, take a big breath in and exhale, downward facing dog. Step to the front of the mat. And taking Tadasana, standing, eagle pose. So right leg goes over your left leg, your right arm goes under your left arm like pretzels. But if that doesn't feel good, you can just do a big hug. And then sink your hips low as if you were in chair pose, except you got crossed legs. Beautiful. Keeping your core engaged for that stability. And release, come into eagle on the right side. So you're, left side, left leg over, left arm under. So eagle on the left, sinking your hips towards the mat. Bring your elbows up so that they are even with your shoulders. Stack your shoulders over your hips. Beautiful. You guys have fantastic balance. Release. Eagle on the right side. Again, right leg over, right arm under. Engage your core, find that stability. Eagle on the left. The left leg goes over, left arm goes under. And as you sink your hips this time, flex your lifted foot, keeping that leg active. So good. And release. Come to stand at the front of your mat. Standing leg raise on the right side. So grab your right knee, lift it up, and then bring your right knee out to the right side. So you're standing on your left leg. Once you get your balance, send your left arm out to the left side, and then take your gaze over your left hand. Must be all that core strength from the dragon boaters. Your balance is awesome. Bring your right foot out so that it's lifted up, just kicking your leg out and up. 1, 2, 3, and then I hope you guys can still hear me. My thing says internet connection unstable. I'll just keep talking. As long as you keep moving, we're good. Okay, fly back into airplane pose. So airplane, your right leg.
We can hear
lifted,
you.
Arms are beside you.
Sorry, Carolyn, I'm just going to tell you, we can hear you. You're just breaking up occasionally.
Okay. Okay. I'll just, if I see you guys pause, I'll give you more directions again. Okay, so airplane pose. Your leg is behind you, your arms are beside you. If you fall out, come back in. And release, forward fold. Halfway lift. And then come on up to extended mountain, big stretch up. Standing leg raise on your left side. So grabbing your left knee, bring it out to the left. Send your right arm out. And then send your gaze over your right side. And if you fall out, just come back in. Wobbles are all part of it. And then bring your left leg out in front of you and kick it forward 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then fly back into airplane pose. So your left leg stretches out towards you. Keep your left foot flexed as if you were kicking that back wall. Your arms are beside you. It's okay if there's a bit of turbulence with your airplane. I guess likely the closest we'll get to an airplane in a while, won't it? Okay, and release. Come to stand at the front of your mat. Tree pose on the right side. So bring your right leg into your left leg. You can use it as a kickstand just against your ankle. You could put it against your calf. You can put it against your thigh, anywhere but your knee. You just don't want that pressure on your knee. And then bring your hands to heart center. Bring your belly into your spine. Get that stability. And then grow your tree. Send your hands up towards the sky. Beautiful. And release. Tree pose on your left side. So your left leg comes up, pressing against your right leg, anywhere but your knee. And as your left foot presses against your right leg, press your right leg against your left foot. You get that extra bit of stability. Hands to heart center. And when you're stable, go ahead and grow your tree. Sending your fingers up to the ceiling, maybe even looking up to the ceiling. And release. Bring your hands to the mat. Step back into yet another high plank. And lower down to the ground. Upward facing dog. Cobra to downward facing dog. Take warrior one pose on your right side. Right foot comes between your hands. Reach up to the sky. And then warrior two pose, keeping your bottom body the same where it is and just changing your arms around, one in front, one behind. Beautiful. Triangle pose. So straighten your front leg. And your right hand is going to go down towards the ground as your left hand reaches up to the sky. So if you've got a block or a water bottle that you want to put under your right hand, that's helpful, brings the mat just that little bit closer. And again, opening up your chest. If you're in the boat, you'd be showing all the fans, all the advertising on the back of your jerseys. Take a big breath in and exhale. Come to a standing position. Leave your legs wide. We're going to do side facing, wide-legged forward folds. So you're facing the long side of your mat with your toes facing the long side of your mat. Your legs are out wide and fold forward at your hips, keeping your spine nice and long. And just feeling how it feels in your body, getting aware of your feet pressing into the mat. And slowly come up to stand. Pyramid pose on your right side. So step your back foot halfway up the mat. Turn your right toes towards the front of the mat. So your right toes are at 12 o'clock. And so your shoulders are facing the front of your mat, the short end of your mat. And reach up to the sky, lengthen out your spine, and then hinge forward at your hips. So your chest is hanging over your front leg. You guys got it. Pay attention to how your weight is distributed between your 2 feet and see if you can get it evenly balanced between both feet. This pose is a lot of just legs. Put your attention on your hips and see if you can get those lined up so that they're facing the front of your mat. Bring your left hand, or leave your left hand on the mat. Twisted triangle, so send your right hand up to the sky. Option here too, if you've got a block or a water bottle to put under your bottom hand, that's helpful. And keeping your back flat as you get yet another twist. You guys are going to be getting hold of so much water with all this twisting. And if it's more comfortable to just put your hand on your lower back, that works too, because you're still getting that same twist. And release, bring your hands to the mat, step back into a high plank, lower down to the mat, come up to a cobra pose, shoulders come back engaged on your back, downward facing dog. Take a big breath of air in and exhale. Right side or left side, warrior one. So step your left foot between your hands. Warrior one, reaching up to the sky. Warrior two pose. Hands reach out in front and back. And then triangle pose, straightening the front leg. And your left hand goes down. Yeah, if you've got a block or a water bottle you're using, try it on the outside of your leg. And then stack your shoulders, one on top of the other. Beautiful. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Inhale and exhale. Another inhale and exhale. Come to stand, leaving your legs wide. Turn your left toe in so that you're facing the long edge of the mat. Take your hands behind your back and get them in a bind. If they don't feel comfortable that way and you've got a strap or something, go ahead and use that. And then forward fold. So side facing, wide-legged, forward fold with a bind. Letting your head hang heavy. Feeling that stretch in your shoulders. If you can lift your hands just off your back a little. But again, listen to your body as to what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And don't do the stuff that doesn't feel good. And then slowly come to stand. Pyramid pose on your left side. So turn your left toe to 12 o'clock towards the front of your mat. Step your back leg halfway up the mat. Reach your hands up to the sky, stretching out your spine nice and long, and then fold forward over your front thigh, bringing your hands to the mat. So you're folded over, send your gaze to the back of the mat. And just put some attention on how your weight is distributed between both legs. See if you can get that equal balance between both feet. And then leaving your right hand on the ground, twisted triangle. So right hand stays on the ground on your mat, on a bottle, whichever works. And your other arm reaches up towards the sky for a twisted triangle. So twisting up. And as you inhale, think of lengthening your body. And then exhale, just twist that little bit more. And release, hands to the mat. High plank. And then lower down to belly plank, laying on your mat. Bring your hands beside your body with your palms facing down. So your arms are parallel to your body. And take locust pose. So locust pose, you're lifting your shoulders and your chest up off the mat as you lift your feet off the mat as well. Take a big breath in and exhale, come back down. And a breath in and exhale. And then come up again into locust pose. Keeping your feet flexed, activated. As you pull your chest up, your gaze is just forward towards the ground so you're not straining your neck. And release. Take your hands and clasp them behind your back for bound locust. And come on up. Rolling your shoulders up, press your hips into the ground. Your feet are up. And inhale. And exhale, release. Press up into cobra pose. And then make your way onto your back. However you want to get there. So laying on your back. We're going to set up for bridge pose. So bridge pose, stack your knees over your ankles. Take your arms down beside you or wherever's most comfortable, and then press your hips up to the sky. Bridge pose. Beautiful. Keep your legs engaged, nice and strong. Take a big breath in and release, lower down to your mat. And your feet, check in on them. If they should be about hip width distance apart. And then your hands, if they just can reach out to your ankles, that's a nice distance to have them. Okay, and come on up for another bridge pose, sending your hips to the sky. Everything that's touching the ground is pressing against the ground. Seeing if you can press your hips just that little bit higher and release. Take a breath in and out. We'll do one more bridge. Come on up, pressing your hips to the sky and release. Supta Baddha Konasana. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees open up wide as if it was like a book. You got it. And just one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and just feeling your breath cycle through your body. Raise your feet up into the air so your legs are straight, your feet are flexed. We're going to do some abs because as paddlers, you need a nice strong core. Lower your feet to 30 degrees as you exhale, and then lower them to 60. Lower them to a hover. Click your heels 3 times together. 1, 2, 3. Send them back up to the ceiling. And exhale to 30. Exhale to 60. Exhale to a hover. Take a look at your toes and wiggle them. Wiggle the toes. And then bring your head back to the mat. Your feet come back up to the ceiling. Engage your core and lower them 30, lower them 60, lower them 90, and crisscross one over the other. And then back up to the ceiling. And then come into bicycles. So yogi bicycles are very similar to other bicycles. Stack your knees over your hips, flex your feet, and then bicycle out your feet one at a time. Bring your hands beside your ears and rotate your shoulders towards your knees to work the obliques. Get that power behind your stroke. And just keep going at your own pace with your own breath. Staying strong. Strength doesn't come from what you can do. It comes from overcoming the things that you thought you once couldn't do. Good job, yogis. And release. Bring your knees into your chest. Give them a hug. And rock and roll up and down your mat and come into boat pose. So boat pose, your body is in a V, your legs are up in the air, and your arms could be up in the air or they could be just back behind you. And release. Make your way into a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up in the air and swing it through to half pigeon. And if half pigeon isn't your thing today, you've got the option of a figure 4, or some people call it thread the needle, where you're on your back. Once you're in whichever of this hip openers that feels good, just find that strength and stillness. Breathe into any resistance or discomfort that you might have. Make your way into half pigeon on the other side, or figure 4 on the other side, however you want to get there. And then release. Come to a seated position with your right leg extended out in front of you. For seated single leg extension on the right. And with your right leg out in front, flex your foot and tuck your left foot into your leg. And then hinge forward, reaching towards your toes. Getting that stretch, leading with your chest. Once you find that spot that you like, you can just release your neck and just relax. And switch legs. Bring your other foot out in front, so both feet are out in front, keeping your feet flexed, seated, forward fold. So just reaching towards your toes. You catch your toes, you catch your shins, whatever works, and just leading with your chest. And release. And now take an inversion of your choice. The simplest, if you happen to have a wall nearby, is legs up the wall. You could also do waterfall, which is just your feet are up in the air and you've got a block under your lower back. Or you could do a shoulder stand, which is taking your hands, pressing your hips up towards the ceiling, kind of going back on your shoulders with your feet up in the air. And this is so great because there's some of you that I haven't seen during this sequence, but now I see your feet. So I'm very happy you're still with us. So nothing like an inversion to change your perspective. Kind of resetting. And if you're a shoulder stand kind of person and you want to move into plow pose, go ahead. Plow pose, you just drop your toes back behind your head. Or you could move into knee to ear pose. That one is exactly how it sounds. Or feel free to stay wherever you are. Coming out of your inversion, bring your knees into your chest, give them a big squeeze. And then dropping your knees over to the right for supine twist on the right. Bring your arms out to a T, trying to keep your shoulders on the ground, and then send your gaze over to the left. And bring your knees into your chest, into the center, and let them fall to the left. So supine twist on your left. Sending your gaze over to your right side. And then come back to center. Bring your knees into your chest, give them a great big hug, flex your entire body, big squeeze, and release into Shavasana. So Shavasana, the easiest and the hardest pose there is. You're just laying on your mat. Take up space, you're on your back, letting your legs relax. Letting your arms relax. Feel free to close your eyes. And just give yourself that permission to simply be in stillness. I've got a little quote that I'm going to share with you. Remember, the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. Be patient, be humble, keep moving forward, and know that all this hard work you're putting in and day out will produce the results you've been looking for. Your time is coming. Do not give up. take a big inhale and exhale. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, reconnecting, taking some bigger movements. Maybe you rotate your ankles, rotate your wrists. And then roll over onto your right side in recovery position. And then push yourself up to seated at the front of your mat. You can keep your eyes closed or your eyes open, whichever you like. Bring your hands to heart center. And we'll finish class with one Om. Breath in. And thumbs to forehead center. We bow together and say Namaste. Thank you so much, guys. You did amazing.